No? Okay, let's continue then with another bias or heuristic actually we sometimes use. And I thought it was a very funny heuristic because it happened to me a lot when I went to the supermarket. Because I personally don't like to go to the supermarket. And now if you like going to the supermarket, some do. My wife doesn't really mind, for example, but I completely hate it. So what I tend to do usually is I buy a lot of stuff at the same time. So for example, if I like desserts, for example, and what I do then is I buy a lot of desserts. But the thing is actually what you would do then, and that's what I did. For example, if you like the Mona desserts, which is like the quark thingy, they have different flavors like banana, vanilla. So what I usually do is when I do go on Saturday or to the time, is I bought of every flavor one. However, when I'm at home, I only like to eat the vanilla one, and I'm stuck with the banana. So, and the question of course is why would you do such a thing? Because it's not completely logical. So the most logical thing what I should have done is just buy all vanilla desserts. And I have 4 vanilla desserts in my fridge, and I have done I'm happy with my vanilla dessert. But the thing is, when you plan ahead, you diversify. And that's one of those heuristics that you use. And it's also called the diversification bias. And perhaps if you go shopping, and you buy a lot of stuff, you tend to buy different stuff. Also different types of bread, for example, different types of pizza. But actually, when you're confronted at home with what you want to eat, you usually select the same product. And so this has been studied by Reed and Lowenstein in 1995. So, for example, 31, so that's 37%, want to change their mind by having less variety at the moment of the consumption. So there's also some evidence for that you should actually not buy too many different products. And of course, this is a nice illustration of why does this happen. And again, so these heuristics can show us why we would do that. And the basic theory behind that is actually perhaps a little bit more complicated than perhaps the example. So that you succumb probably to 2 different elements. So the first element is that you time contraction. So the basic idea is here that you treat long intervals as if they were short. So you might ask yourself when you're in the supermarket, what do I want to eat now? Well, if it were now, you would have to eat 3 desserts. You would not eat all 3 vanilla. You would also, I don't know, if you would have to eat 3 of them, you would also perhaps go for strawberries and vanilla and banana. Yeah.
It's not clear when you diversify, when you're in the store or when you're at home planning it. When do you do it? When do you choose different flavors? When you're in
when you're in the store. So when you plan ahead, when you have a long time interval, you plan ahead.
Oh, you plan ahead for eating, but
Yeah.
the planning is in the store itself, not at home.
No, so the planning is at the store. And especially if the time interval is quite long. So if you plan to buy food for several weeks.
Oh, okay, I can do that.
Yeah, if you plan for several weeks, then you tend to diversify. So the thing is, what you basically do in the supermarket is you ask yourself, what do I want to eat now? And then of course you don't select 3 of the same desserts. Right? You select different ones. Because if you're forced to eat 3 different desserts, they better be a little bit different. Right? So that's the time contraction. Treat long intervals like they were short. And the second one is choice bracketing, and that's the tendency to treat choices that are framed together differently from those that are framed apart. So you use different strategy when you purchase a lot. However, when you're at home, you don't use different strategy. You use the one that you like at that moment. Right? So that's the second element you succumb to usually. And of course, this can have an adaptive component to it as well, to diversify. So it doesn't only apply to food, but on other stuff as well. So for example, if you live in a risky environment, it's better to diversify sometimes, and not only invest in one type of product. So for example, if it's very poor weather and it starts raining a lot, and if you only buy rice, and the rice got wet, and then you can't eat it anymore, then you have a big problem, because you only had rice, you only bought rice. Then it's first better to also have other types of food stored. And that's a bit the idea here. Of course, nowadays this adaptive component doesn't count anymore because we all have refrigerators and we can store food indefinitely. Right, so that's one of what a very interesting heuristic.